You probably do not think of sleep as a form of discipline. Sleep happens at the end of the day. When you are tired. When you have no choice. It feels passive. Involuntary. The opposite of discipline. But consider this. Every decision you make about when you sleep, how long you sleep, and what you do in the hours before bed shapes the quality of everything that follows. Your focus. Your self-control. Your mood. Your ability to keep the habits you are building. Your capacity to do the hard things you have committed to doing. Sleep is not where discipline rests. Sleep is where discipline is rebuilt. And most people are running on far less of it than they think. Here is a question worth sitting with honestly. How many hours do you actually sleep each night? Not the hours you are in bed. The hours you are genuinely asleep. And when was the last time you woke up feeling fully rested, without an alarm, without needing coffee to function? For many people, that feeling is so unfamiliar it is hard to even remember what it was like. We have normalized a kind of chronic tiredness. We wear busyness like a badge. We treat sleep as a luxury, something to catch up on eventually, something to sacrifice when life gets full. There is even a widespread belief that you can catch up on lost sleep over the weekend. Sleep in on Saturday, recover what you missed Monday through Friday. Research does not support this. Sleep debt accumulates, and while extra sleep on weekends helps somewhat, it does not fully restore what was lost during the week. The cognitive deficits, the impaired judgment, the reduced self-control, these linger. You cannot recover in 2 days what you depleted over 5. The biology does not work that way. But science tells a different story about what sleep actually is and what it does. Matthew Walker is a neuroscientist and professor at the University of California, Berkeley. He has spent decades studying what sleep does to the brain and body. His research, along with a growing body of work from other scientists, makes one thing clear. Sleep is not a passive state of rest. It is one of the most active and essential processes your brain performs. When you sleep, your brain is not simply powering down. Your neurons are firing. Memories are being consolidated. Emotional experiences are being processed. And something remarkable is happening that was only discovered in recent years. Your brain is cleaning itself. There is also what happens during REM sleep, the stage when most dreaming occurs. During REM sleep, the brain replays and processes emotional experiences from the day. But it does so in a particular way. The brain is largely free from a stress-related molecule called noradrenaline during this stage. This allows emotionally charged memories to be replayed and processed without the raw intensity of the original experience. Researchers describe this as a kind of overnight emotional therapy. It is why a problem that felt overwhelming the night before can feel more manageable in the morning. It is where the phrase, "sleep on it," actually has biological truth behind it. You are not just resting. You are processing. And when you cut sleep short, you cut this processing short too. Emotions that were not fully processed carry into the next day with their sharpness intact. You are more reactive, more irritable, more easily overwhelmed. Not because you are weak. Because the work was not finished. There is a system in the brain called the glymphatic system. Think of it as a biological sewage network. During deep sleep, this system becomes highly active, flushing out toxic proteins and metabolic waste that accumulate in the brain while you are awake. One of the proteins it clears is called beta amyloid. This is the same protein strongly associated with Alzheimer's disease. In other words, every night of good sleep is your brain doing essential maintenance. And every night of poor sleep is your brain falling behind on that maintenance. This is not a minor inconvenience. Over time, it has real consequences. But let us focus on something more immediate. Something you can feel the very next day. When you do not get enough sleep, the part of your brain most affected is the prefrontal cortex. This is the region responsible for rational thinking, impulse control, long-term planning, and decision-making. It is, in a very real sense, the seat of discipline in your brain. And sleep deprivation impairs it significantly. Research has consistently shown that even moderate sleep loss, just 5 or 6 hours a night over several days, leads to increased impulsivity, reduced self-control, and poorer decision-making. You are more likely to choose the comfortable option over the right one. More likely to reach for the unhealthy food, skip the workout, lose your temper, procrastinate. More likely to break the promises you made to yourself. It is not that your values changed overnight. It is that the part of your brain that helps you act on those values is running on low power. This creates a painful irony for anyone trying to build discipline. You commit to waking up early, to exercising, to eating well, to doing the hard work. And then you stay up late, get poor sleep, and spend the next day fighting yourself every step of the way. Wondering why discipline feels so hard. Why motivation is nowhere. The answer is often not a lack of willpower. It is a lack of sleep. Think about it this way. You would not expect a phone with a flat battery to run demanding apps. Yet every morning, millions of people expect their brain to perform at full capacity on 4 or 5 hours of charge. And then they blame themselves when it cannot. There is also what happens to your hunger. Sleep deprivation affects 2 hormones that regulate appetite. Leptin, which signals fullness, goes down when you are sleep deprived. Ghrelin, which signals hunger, goes up. The result is that after a bad night's sleep, you are biologically hungrier. You crave higher calorie, higher sugar foods. Your self-control around food is lower at the exact moment your cravings are higher. This is not weakness. This is physiology. And it is one reason why sleep is not just a discipline issue. It is a foundation that either supports or undermines every other discipline you are trying to build. So what does the discipline of sleep actually look like? It starts with a decision most people have not consciously made. The decision to treat sleep not as what is left over after everything else, but as a non-negotiable priority that everything else is organized around. That is a genuine shift for many people. Because the culture we live in pushes in the opposite direction. Productivity is celebrated. Rest is suspected. Phrases like, "I'll sleep when I'm dead," get treated as admirable. But sleep researchers have a quiet response to that: you will get there faster if you keep sleeping that way. The first practical step is consistency. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, including weekends, is one of the most powerful things you can do for sleep quality. Your body has an internal clock called the circadian rhythm. It runs on a roughly 24-hour cycle and governs when your body releases sleep-promoting hormones like melatonin. When you keep consistent sleep and wake times, this clock becomes well calibrated. You fall asleep faster. You sleep more deeply. You wake up feeling more rested. When you shift your schedule on weekends, staying up late, sleeping in, you give yourself what researchers call social jet lag. Your body clock gets pushed off its rhythm, similar to flying across time zones without leaving home. Monday morning feels unbearable not because Mondays are hard, but because your internal clock has drifted. The second step is protecting the hour before sleep. Your brain does not switch instantly from full activity to sleep. It transitions gradually. And that transition is sensitive to the environment you create. Think of the hour before bed as a wind-down runway. Not wasted time. Not screen time. A deliberate slowing down that allows your nervous system to shift from alert to ready for rest. This might mean dimming the lights in your home. Putting the phone face down or in another room. Reading something calm. A short walk. A few minutes of stillness. These are not complicated rituals. They are simply signals to your brain that the day is ending and rest is beginning. And the brain responds to those signals. Bright light, especially the blue light from screens, suppresses melatonin and signals to your brain that it is still daytime. Using your phone in bed is not just mentally stimulating. It is actively telling your biology to stay awake. Caffeine also deserves attention. It has a half-life of around 5 to 7 hours in the body. A coffee at 2 in the afternoon still has a significant portion of that caffeine circulating in your system at 9 in the evening. Many people believe caffeine does not affect their sleep because they fall asleep fine. What they do not notice is the impact on sleep quality. Caffeine reduces deep sleep. And it is deep sleep where the most important restorative work happens. The third step is temperature. Your body needs to drop its core temperature slightly in order to fall and stay asleep. This is why people naturally sleep better in cooler rooms. A common recommendation from sleep researchers is a bedroom temperature around 18 to 19 degrees Celsius. It sounds like a small detail. But temperature is one of the most reliable signals your body uses to initiate sleep. A cool room, dark space, and quiet environment. These are not luxuries. They are the conditions your biology is designed to sleep in. Now, let us be honest about something. The goal is not perfection. There will be late nights, disrupted sleep, early mornings with no choice. Life does not always allow for 8 uninterrupted hours. The goal is not to become anxious about sleep, because anxiety itself is one of the worst things for sleep. The goal is intention. To stop treating sleep as what is left over and start treating it as what comes first. Because here is what changes when you sleep well consistently. Your willpower is stronger in the morning. Your emotional regulation is better throughout the day. Your impulse control holds up under pressure. Your habits feel easier to maintain. Your work is sharper. Your relationships are calmer. Everything you are trying to build through discipline becomes more accessible when your brain is properly rested. Sleep is not a break from the work of building yourself. It is where that work is consolidated. It is where the lessons of yesterday become the instincts of tomorrow. Where the struggles of the day are processed and integrated. Where your brain does the invisible work of becoming who you are trying to become. You cannot discipline your way out of sleep deprivation. But you can discipline yourself into better sleep. And when you do, everything else gets easier. Not because life changes. Because you show up to it with a brain that is actually equipped to handle it. That is the discipline of sleep. Not dramatic. Not glamorous. Just the quiet, consistent choice to give your brain what it needs to do what you are asking of it. Every single night. I hope this video brought you something meaningful. If you find it helpful, please like and share it with someone who may need it. Subscribe if you would like to hear more stories like this. Wishing you a calm and peaceful day.